So in my last video, I had mentioned I might want to do a little more sewing in this one before I add my covers. I did go ahead and add a pocket onto this page here. So I have a double pocket. This also created a little flip up right here. So if you'd want to hide a little note or a photo, that's a perfect place to do it. Or if you would rather not have the double overhang, you could certainly tear this off or tear the other one off. Also, I've torn the paper back right here before stitching it down. So just to kind of reveal that bug, and it just kind of adds a little interest. I like the double-sided paper folded back. And so what I want to do now is add my covers. And the reason I do this now is so that when I'm working inside the book, I can close it and I can determine, okay, do I like a tag sticking out? Do I like the way it's looking? And you certainly don't have to do it this way if you don't want. You could completely finish this portion of your book and then add your covers last. So again, there's never a right or wrong. It's just whatever works best for you. So to add my cover, what I want to do is I just want to put it on here and kind of determine where I want that to be. I know that my glue will need to go about to there. So I'm going to get my glue, put some down, and then I want to just lay it down, find where I want it to be, and let's let that set up for just a second. Okay, so I think we've got that set up, so we're not going to have that moving. The next thing I want to do is add the back cover. We're going to do that exactly the same way by adding some glue onto this tab. So now what we can do is add our papers to the insides of the covers. And what I've decided to do, I've already been scoping out my papers, and I've decided I want to put this piece here, and then I have a little piece for the top, and I will trim those down later. I'll put this somewhere about there, and I'll trim the little corners after I get that glued down. So now I'm going to glue that down. Now I'm going to turn this over and just trim this off. Okay. Okay, so now we have our paper on our inside cover. Now we'll do the same on this one. And I've already pre-cut this, and I'm thinking I like this, but I also like it this way. So I can kind of flip my pages, you know, which do I like better? I think actually I'm going to go with it this way. So now I will glue this on. I will go through my ephemera and papers before I get started. Like I've done, you can see I have stuff everywhere. And then it's easy to have it right here. I can just grab it as I go. I love these papers. They're so beautiful. So now that I have that done, the next thing that I like to do is go through and add some embellishments to the pockets and pages. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this pocket first. I know that I like this butterfly. And he's from the Transparencies from the Halloween release. And I want to use a baseboard piece. So I like this clock. And so I'm going to put that like that, just on half of the pocket. And it looks straight. So I'll let that set up a little bit. The word reserved, that's from the Halloween sticker book. So just that alone has added quite a bit. And then once we start adding our tags, we're going to keep building our layers, and it's going to keep changing all the time. And so now with this pocket here, I really like this folded down piece here, how I've done that. So what I want to do is I want to add a little tiny clip, mini clip I think they're called, and I also want to pull out a little piece of ephemera. These are the curator snippets. So I want a really tiny one, and I want that to be clipped on to that folded down edge. So I'll add a little bit of ink to that. I ink everything with Distress ink, even the tiniest little pieces, because it really adds a lot. And then I'm going to stick that kind of behind that folded edge right there. I'll put on the tiny clip. And I really like that. That's really cute. And then I want to add, I think I'm going to add one of the Halloween flares. And of course, I need to use that one right there. So because that's hanging over the top of that pocket right there, I'll just add some collage medium to the bottom part of that. Okay, that's set up. So now I'm going to leave this page as is, because once we add some tags to this, it's really going to change it up. And sometimes I'll come back and add things to the pages when I'm almost done with the book. So now let's think about this pocket. And I already know that I want to use a baseboard piece. And I really like this one, but I think I need something underneath that. And so I think yeah, I like that, because I'll just cover up the word and leave the number from the piece behind sticking out. And I really like that. So that adds a lot right there. And we can come back and staple things to these pockets. And so you can see as we add bits, it's already beginning to take shape. And of course we can come back and add things at any time and build up from there. So now let's go this way. What I've decided to do here is add an envelope. And so I've used my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board, used the Halloween paper, made an envelope, and what I want to do with this is use it as a pocket. I'm going to tear this off right here, and it's really thick. Okay, I have that glued closed, so I have my pocket, and now I want to attach it to this page to create a pocket. But I think I want to layer some things, maybe some papers behind. I really like that. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to start with that. Let's glue that down. Let's tear that piece off. Okay, so that's pretty well stuck down. So now let's add some other pieces. I think I like that there. Let's add that butterfly. This is one that I've used frosted crystals on, and I just never used it in my Halloween makes. Okay, so that is pretty well stuck down. So now we have a pocket here, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of tape, something to the bottom here. All right, so I've pulled out this tape, which has numbers. I like the way that looks. And so now let's move on to this page. So I want to use a baseboard piece on this page here. So let me go through my baseboard pieces. I really like that. And I really like that. I think I'm going to use this right here. But first I'm going to find something like a label or something that will go underneath that, so it has a little bit of layering to it. I really like these. This is from the Christmas release. Tons of labels. I love them. So I'm going to ink this up. You can see how layering, just the label underneath that, how much better that looks. All right, I think that's set up pretty well. So now we have our pocket here with a little bit of an embellishment on that. And then the next thing I want to do is decide, what do I want to do behind this? Do I want something underneath here? And I think I do. I think a scrap piece of paper would work really well as a foundation for whatever I want to add to this, whether it be a photo or some ephemera. So I'm going to put that down. Just a simple piece of paper right there is going to add a lot to that. I really like that. Say I was to add a photo. I really like that. So I'm going to put that down right there. All right. And now when we add a photo or something hidden behind there, that's a really nice look. I really like that. So, all right, so we've got our pages pretty well embellished. And as I said, you can always come back and add more later, which I do. I do that a lot. Now see how that is it kind of wants to tip that way. That's because the baseboard pieces are kind of centered around in this area. So let's add something here, a baseboard piece to this, and that will help balance everything out a little bit. I really like the numbers better than anything else. And I believe they're going to fit well because you want to think about, you know, is the flare, for example, going to hit and interfere? But it's not. So I'm going to stick those down. Okay, I like that. That will add some dimension there. So this is sitting better. Okay. I think it would be good to add something with dimension here as well, because that's going to help build it up a little bit. So I'm going to choose one of my flares, and I think this one would work really well. And I'm going to stick it kind of behind that envelope a little bit, like that. So now I'll add some collage medium. All right. So I like that. Now things are going to sit a little bit better. And, you know, if you guys don't want to add the baseboard pieces and the dimensional bits inside of your journal, you certainly don't have to. You know, flat ephemera works just as well. There's no right or wrong. So do whatever feels right to you, and it's all going to look just fabulous. And so now here we go. We got, you know, some things on our pages. It's already starting to look a lot better. We'll go this way. Behind there. And now let's pin something onto this. And I have one of the loop pins. These are the IDEA-OLOGY loop pins. And I had cut a tag from the paper. I just cut one of the bugs out. So let's attach that. Of course, you can attach anything you want to this. And so do I want a photo under here? Or both? I could even staple one to the fabric with my tiny attacher, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So get that in place where I want it to be. Get my tiny attacher. And there we go. So now we have already another layer on there. And you could always add something underneath as well. You could put another photo behind if you wanted to. So I really like that. And I think I'm going to clip it down with this, like that. I like that. And that'll hold it down. And so why don't we make a tag now? So I've gone ahead and made a few tags. I've got those tucked into the pockets. I'll come back and talk about each tag and how I put them together. But first, let's talk about what I've done on the cover. So this was super easy. I've taken the mushroom snippet and the label. I've got those clipped together with a tiny clip. The word collector is from the remnant rubs. And then I've just used a little bit of glue behind that to hold those down. And for the toadstool, what I've done is taken the toadstool and some mummy cloth. This is mummy cloth that I've painted black. Wrap it around once and leave a tail. Go around a few times, and then I just twist those tails together, cut the excess off, put some glue on the twist, and just anywhere that's going to be touching the cover, and glue it down. That's simple, super easy. And you can see I've tucked the tail behind there. So I really like the way that looks. And not only does the mummy cloth look nice, but it also gives another surface to glue to, which is really helpful. And then my first tag, what I've done, again, super easy. I've taken a scrap bit of paper, folded it in half, it's folded right here, and then I've taken a piece of ephemera, put a photo booth over that, taken the 31, laid those down and just have sewn around. And then I've added the sticker from the Curiosity sticker book, One Who Walks by Your Side. And then you can see I've got a tiny little scrap piece of paper behind the words. I save every scrap because they're never too small, and this is a perfect example of that. So that's my first tag, and I really like that little scrappy tag. And then the next tag, what I've done is I've taken my die and cut this ticket shape. They look like this. And you could use any shape you want, any size, any shape. And then I've used a photo that this is the found relative, and I've used frosted crystal on that. And then at the top, I've sewn down some mummy cloth. And then I've taken some ephemera, wrapped it around the edge. On the back, I have this baseboard piece. And the little bug was just a leftover piece. So again, I save all my little scraps and use those for collaging. So that's my next tag. And then my third tag, I've taken the same ticket shape, and I wanted to use this paper doll because he's awesome. And so he was a little bit tall. So what I've done is I've taken the ephemera here, this is a layers piece, and just extended the length of my tag. And because the layers are white on the back, they look like this. I've used one of the salvage tags and backed it with that. And then at the top, I've used these gauges. They're all the same size. All these pieces are in the layers pack, and put them back to back. So you got a double-sided tag, and the word danger signals is from the Curiosity sticker book. I've got him leaning on a piece of ephemera here. It looks like he's leaning, so I just put that there. So that's my third and final tag that I've made. So now why don't we make a tag, and I'll show you how I made my first one. Let's put that back. So I've got a piece of scrap paper here. I'm folding it in half. I want to take another piece and put it inside, and this will give it a layered effect, which I really like that. So I'm going to go to my machine and sew somewhere, maybe right here, and sew those down. All right, so I've got that sewn down, and this still leaves an opening. So if you would want to take another tag or something and stick it in there, or a photo, hide a photo in there or something, you've still got this opening, unless you want to sew it completely closed. You know, it's up to you. So there's so many options for these kind of a tag. And then I'm going to take my paper doll. I like this one. And I'm going to give him wings. And then I'm going to give him something to lean on, because you can see he's leaning on something. And I've taken the mushrooms out from my Field Notes ephemera set. And I think I'm liking that. That quickly, we have a tag. So I'm going to glue those pieces down. Okay, so I have that glued down. I really like these little scrappy tags from my scrap paper. They're so much fun. So let's find a place for this guy. Let's go on the back side here. And let's put him right there. I think that'd be a good spot for him. I like him there. So now let's flip through the book. I'll show you a few things that I've added. So remember I mentioned we had a little hiding place right here. So I've used one of my little mini clips, and I've put some mummy cloth on that. I've just looped it through and then used some embroidery thread to tie that together right there. And that creates a nice way to pull that off. And then under here, I've added this photo here. That's from the Curiosity sticker book. This is what it looks like. and they have these people in there. And so I've kind of torn it to make it fit. And then I took here, let me pick this up so you can see it better. And then I've taken a scrap piece of paper and put over the top of her. You might remember this piece that we used where I added my envelope. Right here, I tore it off of that. So I always have my scraps laying on my table because it's really helpful to find something really quick if I want to add a layer. And so that's what I used, was the other half of that. You can see where I've done that. I've added a number, and then I've used a little bit of that numbered washi tape. And then we've got a little hiding place under there. And it's, of course, held closed with the little clip. So that was fun. I like that little hiding place. I love it when accidents like that happen. I wasn't even meaning to make a hiding place, but it worked out really well. I think I want to add something to those numbers, and I was thinking I want to use one of the machinery heads. I really like these. So I'm gonna glue that down. Okay, that's stuck down really well. So now we have one more layer. If you don't have the machinery heads, you could certainly use any other elements that you do have, like a vintage flare. You could use any of your ephemera, a fabric scrap, washi tape. The curator snippets would be perfect for that. So there's a lot of options to build up your layers. You don't have to use exactly the same thing I'm using. So now let's talk about these smaller pockets. A perfect solution for those is your ephemera. Like, for example, something like this. You just need to back it with some of your scrap paper. And I like the way that looks in that pocket. It fits nice. That pocket, it fits really nice. I'm going to stick it in here, and I'll come back and back that with something in a little while. But now let's think about our other pockets and what we can do with those. So we need something in these because everything else is filled. I do like to use my salvage tags because they're double-sided, and you need to remember that your tags are going to be showing. So you definitely want to use something that's double-sided, like your backdrop papers. But for now, I'm going to stick this in here, and I do like the way that looks. I can come back and add something to that later. Also, if I'm feeling like it's a little tall, I can tear the bottom of that off. But for now, I'm going to leave it just like that. And I have some ideas for this envelope. I'll come back to that last. But next I want to take a look at the book itself and see if there's anything I want to add to any of the pages. And after looking at this, I think I want to add some papers to this, or I could use some of my snippets, but I'm going to use some of my scrap paper. And I like the black. If I would tear that down small enough, it could go on either side. And I do like that. But I have this little scrap of the crackle paper, and of course with it being on the cover, I like the way that ties all together. So I could either put this here. I think I'd turn it this way, go like that. And it looks good on the page, and it also looks good when the book is closed. Or I could put it on this side, which I'm liking, but it's a good idea to open up your book and see how is that going to look in the grand scheme of things. Let's take this off and take a look. Whoops. And I like the way that looks. So I think I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to glue this down. So I've got this dried and refolded. Because I extended the paper over the fold, you need to let your paper completely dry so that you can refold it without it peeling up or moving. And so now I'm liking that. I like the way that looks. Whether it's opened up all the way, you know, whether it's closed like this, it just adds one more layer. Something else I would say is if you're running out of ideas, take a break, and when you come back, you'll probably look at it again and have some new ideas that look good to you. So let's kind of flip through now. So I've got this guy in here. I like the way everything looks. I think I need to add a little something right here. Let's just tear a little bit of that off, about that much. Okay, that added a little bit right there. So now I think I want to work on this envelope a little bit. I had an idea for this, and let me grab my supplies. So I've pulled out a found relative, and this paper is the only one I'm using that's not from the Halloween backdrops. This is from the everyday backdrops, one or two, I'm not sure. And I like the fact that it looked like it was an old letter. So what I want to do is put her on one side, and then I want to fold this over so that the letter looks like it's kind of folded around the photo. So I'm going to tear this off. And then I want to stick her down about right there. And then let's fold this over. And I'm going to tear it where it looks like it'll just fold right up over her right there. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to tear a little bit on the top here just to give a tattered look. And I'm going to ink around the edges. So I like the way that looks. What I'm going to do is go to my machine and I'm going to sew right down the edge right here. So instead of sewing down this way, I've sewn once across the bottom, and I've just gone kind of zigzaggy right here. And that gives us a tuck spot behind here if we want to add something there. And I think I want to add, like, this is from the Halloween layers pack. And I think I want to add that to the front here. So I'll glue that down. All right, so I've got that glued down. It's not quite dry yet, but what I'm going to do is just snip off the bottom where it's hanging over there. All right, so that looks good. I like that. Another thing that would look good is this string comes with the salvage tags. So what I want to do is wrap this around. All right, so I've got my string wrapped around, tied in a knot on the side. I think it would be really cute to take one of the IDEA-OLOGY antique gems or maybe one of the metal hearts and hang those from the string. And then I've got a little piece of ephemera here. That's just a torn off end that I saved. I've got a tiny clip at the top. We've got our tuck spot behind. And then because the string wraps completely around, we can tuck some things behind the string. So this is a fun little insert. I like that. That is really cute. Another idea I had is I love using these memo pins. I'm sure you've seen them in my work quite a bit. You could stick that behind the butterfly because they're sharp. They'll slide right in like that. And then you can put a piece of ephemera or something in that. Like, let me find something. Like this would work. It's not quite straight, but you get the idea. And we can push the pin in further. So one more layer right there, that quick. Something else I'm noticing is I want to fold these down just a little bit maybe. And you can work on that. You can kind of crinkle them all up and make them look all tattered. But I do like that. I think I'm going to tear that down just a little bit like that. I like that. That looks good. So I've done a lot of envelopes like this on end with inserts in them. If you want to check out my Pinterest page, I'll link that below. I've got a lot of different examples of this, even going way back to when I was making a lot of lacy and fabric books. Also, I know I have a lot on my Instagram page. I'll also link that. But for now, I think I'm going to end this video. If you do have any questions, just leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to get back to you. But before I go, let's do one last flip through. I'm going to move some of these things out of the way. So this has been a really fun project. It's been fun to watch it change. If you remember what it was like in the beginning till now, there's quite a difference. Even just adding something as simple as this little piece of paper here has changed it up quite a bit. So let's just kind of flip through. I don't know if I mentioned, but I've torn this pocket off right there just so you can see him a little bit better. And as you can see, it's important to have your tags be double-sided because you will see them from both sides. So let's stretch it out. All right. So as I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. I hope you've enjoyed this. And until next time, take good care, you guys. Bye.